There are a lot of rules in Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and it can be quite tricky finding the answers to your questions in the rulebook. But here on the channel, I'm all for helping you understand and enjoy your games of Fallout Wasteland Warfare. So I've taken 3 rules from my YouTube comments that you find confusing, and today I'm going to break them down and help you understand them. First off, let's talk about Power Armour. Now, Power Armour is great. It usually gives a character a bonus to their strength and equally negates any fall damage a character would take from falling or jumping. But they do have some important rules which you can find on page 45 and page 21 of your core rulebook. Now, suits of Power Armour can only be worn by single unit models like the Sole Survivor, the Raider Veteran and others, as opposed to the likes of Rad Roaches. And when you have a suit of Power Armour equipped, you slide the stat card for the armour under your character card, which will visually show you the benefits that the armour gives you, as well as the new and improved armour stats that will apply to your model as long as this armour is equipped and intact. Now, just to clarify something at this point, when you've got your Power Armour on, you don't automatically use that armour rating to determine if you've taken damage. While playing the game, say your opponent lands a hit and you've got to determine if your armour blocks it, before you roll the armour dice, you get to choose whether you want to use the armour rating on your armour card or use the armour rating on your character card. Now, I don't really agree with this rule personally. It's a bit strange, but there may be moments where you want to do that because maybe your character card's radiation armor is higher than that of your armor card. I don't know, it's a strange rule, but just be aware of it. One other important thing to know about Power Armor is that it can be damaged and degraded. On every Power Armor card, on the green side, you'll see a number that lines up with the endurance stat. This signifies the health of the armor. So when damage is applied to a model who is wearing undamaged Power Armor, damage tokens are placed beside or on the Power Armour card until the total of those damage tokens equals the armour's endurance. Once that happens, the Power Armour becomes degraded. You flip it over to the yellow side and then use those stats as the stats for your Power Armour. You'll notice that the armour rating loses its +1 bonus, but more often than not, it'll still be higher than your character's base armour rating. Speaking of that +1, if you are looking at an armour rating in Fallout Wasteland Warfare and it has this +1 beside it, this is a strong armour bonus. You'll usually see this on Power Armour, but it can show up elsewhere. The first number is your fixed armour rating. This is the number you'll roll for with the red armour dice. This +1 number beside it is a fixed amount of damage that will always be blocked by that armour. So if there was 3 damage being dealt to me and I rolled 2 on the armour dice, this +1 would mean I blocked 3 damage. If there was 3 damage being dealt to me and I rolled a 4, I wouldn't block any damage thanks to the armour dice, but I would still block 1 damage due to my strong armour bonus, so 1 point of damage would be blocked. The next big rule you guys wanted me to talk about was radiation damage. You can find this info on page 19 of your core rulebook, but in essence there are 3 types of damage currently in Fallout Wasteland Warfare: physical damage, energy damage, and radiation damage. And each weapon card will tell you the type of damage and amount of that type of damage it'll do. Radiation damage is unlike physical and energy damage though, and the best way to explain it is actually just by showing you. So let's say you have a character with 5 health and they've already taken 2 damage and have 3 health remaining. Let's say they've just been targeted by a radiation weapon and suffered 2 radiation damage. This turns the 2 damage tokens they have to radiation ones. So they'll still be on 3 health, but the tokens are radiation instead now. If next turn they take another 1 radiation damage, they'll be on 2 health, with all of their tokens now showing as radiation. Physical and energy damage directly lower a character's wounds, whereas radiation damage almost feeds on existing damage and will not lower your wounds directly unless you've not got any pre-existing damage for it to feed on, like we saw in the example. So how does this affect you during gameplay? Well, if you've already suffered a ton of physical or energy damage, you may not need to worry as much about being targeted by a character with a radiation weapon. If you're unharmed or up against quite a few enemies with radiation weapons, then you're going to want to treat them as standard threats. The final thing you guys wanted me to talk about was luck. So how does it work in the game? What can you use it for? So only a select few units get to make use of luck. Sometimes there'll be an inbuilt ability they have that makes use of luck, which it'll say on their character card, but the most common way for a character to use luck is if they're heroic. And just as a reminder, a single model unit can be made heroic. You could take Nora or Piper, make them heroic, but you couldn't make 3 Minutemen heroic. So when you do that, you'll slide the heroic card under its character card, so it's protruding from the top, and you'll then remember to pay the relevant caps cost in order to convert a model into a heroic one when you're building your list. So once a character's been made heroic, you can then make use of their luck, and the amount of luck they have is directly tied to their luck stat. Luck can be used to alter accuracy, dodge to avoid a hit, reduce damage taken from an attack, and add extra criticals to an attack. Now, luck doesn't allow you to re-roll your dice rolls, and it can't be used to do that. It will, however, allow you to alter what you rolled to help shift things in your favour. So if you've rolled an unsuccessful skill test when attacking, and only in the case of an unsuccessful one, the attacker can declare if they are going to use a luck token. Only 1 luck token can be used per test, but what you'll do is take 1 from the tokens from your character card, flip it in the air, see what it lands on. Alternatively, if you have some luck dice, you can roll those. The odds will be exactly the same. For an accuracy test, if the result is a luck icon, the skill dice result receives a -2 modifier. If you didn't get the luck icon, nothing changes. For dodging, say an attack has been successfully rolled against you. Even if luck was used to make it succeed, before the damage is calculated, you can declare that you want to use a luck token to metaphorically dodge the attack. If you flip the luck token or roll the luck dice and it lands on a luck icon, the attacker's roll receives a +2 modifier and gives you the chance to turn a marginal success into a failure. The only time when you can't use luck to dodge an attack is if your opponent rolled a critical, and equally your attacker cannot then use luck to counteract the luck you've just used. It's a bit convoluted, but hopefully that makes sense. There are 2 more things you can use luck for. Let's say you're about to have damage applied to your model. You can flip a luck token to reduce the damage by 1. Equally, if you are carrying out an attack and you're successful, after taking into account any luck used by you or your target, you can then flip a luck token or roll the luck dice, and if successful, you'll add 1 critical point to the weapon used. I know that all sounds a little confusing with luck. The best way to understand it is that luck is kind of like using Uno reverse cards or nope cards in Exploding Kitten. You can use it to help you do something or nope your opponent. If in doubt though, you can find all the info about luck on page 52 of the core rulebook. I'd love to hear what other rules you struggle with in Fallout Wasteland Warfare, so let me know down in the comments, and maybe next time I'm doing these videos, I'll tackle it next. In the meantime, here are 3 rules in the game that I think you're likely getting wrong. Why not check it out? Prove me wrong.